crack on with the next drawing, and that is so I said last week that I'd talk to you this week about some of what I discussed in my project proposal and what my idea was, and I'll show you the sketch here so you can see that the sort of, well, hopefully you can see, maybe not, that my idea, my sort of proposal, and this doesn't have to be what it ends up being, but this is the sort of where I've started. And what I'm proposing is that there's a large drawing like the paper maker's felt sort of size and style that I did, but that'll be looking at wool fibres, so that'll be a really up close look at either wool that is a fleece that is still on a sheep, or maybe carded wool, which is like this wool here, this wool here, so maybe like a really microscopic sort of look at that, or something similar. And there'll be 4 of those. It smells really, sounds stupid, but it smells really sheepy. Which is, it's not a bad smell, it surprises me every time. Anyway, so it wouldn't be, sorry. So the idea would be that there'd be 4 of those. There'd be 4 smaller drawings, and then 4 photographs, micro images, something like that. So on this sort of size, again very similar to like what I did for the paper maker's felt drawing. I did one smaller one, which was actually a more zoomed out look, and then I did one bigger one, which was a more zoomed in look. So it was that sort of idea. But for the zoomed out smaller one, I'm thinking what I'd photograph is something made, what I'd draw is something made of that wool, rather than the wool fibres or fleece, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to start, the drawing I'm going to start next is, it's going to be on this. I'm sticking with the handmade paper. The handmade paper from the Paper Foundation is important to me in this project. It's from Cumbria, it's handmade, it's heritage industry, all of that. It's this is what I want. So this is some of the handmade paper still. It's thicker than the stuff that I used for the paper maker's felt drawing and for the ones I'll use for the bigger drawings. So it's thicker, it's still quite delicate. It's got a very different feel to it, to paper that you might find in a normal sketchbook. You might be able to see there, it's got a bit of texture to it. It's also got some imperfections in it, which is great, I like that. And you can see, possibly not so much here, but oh, there we go, when I hold it up to the light you can see where it's been resting on the sieve almost, that the paper is made on. Apologies if you've just been able to hear a motorbike that whole time. My neighbour's been warming up his motorbike. Anyway, so you can see there where it's been draining, and it leaves the little impressions of the sieve. So I'm going to use this sheet of paper, and what I'm going to be drawing is, so part of the 4 pieces as well would be that each so there'd be 4 sets of 4, no, there'd be 4 drawings, 4 large drawings, 4 small drawings, 4 photographs, and each of those would be representative of one of the women that I've talked to from the wool clip and their work, or their sheep, or the type of sheep that they farm. So Mary, who we met first, Mary has the Herdwicks, that's the wool we've just looked at there that I said has the smell to it, and Mary also sells what products made from Herdwick fleece. So this is a macro photograph that I took at Mary's shop of a wool blanket made of Herdwick fleece. And the blankets, they're beautiful. I will absolutely be buying one as soon as I can. And they come in these colours that kind of represent the Lake District. And it reminded me of, the colours within them actually reminded me a lot of the graphite and texture pieces that I did of the Lake District. So obviously there's the white, blue and green. And then there's a nice like mauvey colour as well, which sort of represents the heather in the Lake District. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a sort of square view of this on here. So it'll be about the right size. I quite like this area here, which is a bit of like quite raw wool looking there, and that I'm going to draw a square out of this. So again, I'm going to be using the Derwent pencils for this drawing. It is important to me to use the Derwent pencils. I know I picked up some different types last time. I picked up some Fabers and a couple of others as well. And I've avoided using them. Like, even subconsciously, I avoided using them because I've said in this proposal I want it to be about the Lake District and the industry in the Lake District. And Derwent are made in the Lake District, and they were originally mined in the Lake District too. So that is an important part of the process to me. It might not sound like it's important. It might sound a bit like, who knows, who cares? But I know, and I care, and it's part of the process of this, is that it's about Lake District industry, and I want to stick to that and be true to that in the work as well. So again, for this drawing, I'm going to be working on the big easel. I've got a board with some paper stuck over the top of it. That's just to make it a nice, smoother, softer surface to draw on. And I'm going to get the paper on here, and I'm going to crack on. I don't like showing the start of drawings. I'd rather get settled into it and then show you it. So that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to get settled into it, and then I'll show you where we're at. But this is the paper. This is the reference material. I'm going to get this masked on here, and then I'm going to get drawing. So right now it's not much to look at, but it's what I've tried to do is, if you look here, I've tried to map out the shape of the whites. So these sort of finger shapes are the whites. And then what I've started to do as well, I've just put in some fibres, and these are the white fibres. And then in the middle here, there's a bit of dark, and that's just like raw wool there. So I've just like put a bit of that through as well, and I'm just mapping out the shape. And so yeah, it's not got very far yet, but I've realised something. So the realisation that I had is that I wanted to include the colours of this blanket in the drawing. It's why I picked the colour part of it. So there is, the whole rest of the blanket is mainly grey and white. It's just grey and white wool. But this specific part of the blanket has the colours in it. It's got green, it's got the blue, it's even got a little tiny bit of sort of mauvey colour in there as well. And I wanted to do similar to what I'd done with the Newcastle drawing. I wanted to put a bit of the coloured graphite into this. And I started to draw all these fibres and map out this area, and then I just thought, wait a minute, how am I going to actually get the colour on there? Because so much of this is white, you can see here. So there's the white chunks, but then also even the bits that are blue have got a significant amount of white over them. The Wilbur's just come down the stairs. So how am I going to do that? And I thought I could use the graphite blocks, and just like rub it in, the same as I did with the Newcastle drawing. But then I thought, I can't really rub that out very well to get in enough detail. How's that going to work? And I thought I could draw over it over white pencil, and then still I was a bit like, it's not getting the detail that I want in there still, I don't think. And I thought, I bet Derwent have got something. I bet they have. This isn't an advert for Derwent pencils. But anyway, I went to the Pencil Museum, which has got all sorts of Derwent products in it. And I picked up this tin of Graphy tint pencils, they're called. And these, I haven't used them yet, but the pencils, they're not quite the same texture as the graphite. They are water soluble. They're the same colour as the graphite. I don't think you'd notice the difference too much. And they, like I say, they are water soluble. So if you wet them, they do behave a bit differently as well, which is interesting. But they've got the green in that I need. They've got the blue that I need. And they've got a white one and a grey one and this sort of mauvey one as well, which is great. And then I can work it in much more detail. Use it as a pencil. It's almost like a colouring pencil, but it's tinted graphite rather than a colouring pencil, which is what I wanted. I didn't want a colouring pencil. So there we go. That kind of solved that problem for me, I think. We'll see. I could do this and it might not work out, but that's what this is for. We'll find out. While I was at the Pencil Museum, if you've never been to the Pencil Museum before, by the way, it's fantastic. You've got to go to the Pencil Museum. It sounds ridiculous, but I absolutely love it. I'd go. I've been around it properly once, but I'd do it every few weeks. I really enjoy it. But anyway, I bought this book while I was there. Pencil People, A Story of Lakeland Industry. And obviously, if you're new here, then you would have heard this before, but my MA work and my artwork in general is about industry in the Lake District. So pencils. It kind of started with pencils, the interest in it, and then it spread from there. Anyway, so I bought that book. I'm going to read that. It's quite big writing. There's a lot of pictures in it, so it won't take too long. But yeah, so now that I've got the sort of foundation for this drawing down, I will record myself drawing parts of it. So I will show you that, and I'll keep you up to date with it too. Other than the drawing, MA coursework started back up again. So, and this module is about sustainability, and I'm not talking about like recycling. We're not talking about how, you know, we make art that's environmentally sound so much. It's about developing a sustainable practice. So, you know, it's not about greenwashing or anything like that. It's like, how is our practice going to be sustainable? What are there sustainable elements that we might want to consider within it, etc. And so one of the things, for example, that I've pointed out in my practice is that the drawings take ages, and they take ages on purpose. So I'm like, it's part of it. I've very much sort of come to embrace the drawings taking ages as part of it. I want them to be labour intensive. I want them to feel almost a bit exhausting. I want people to look at them and go, I bet that took a long time, because it's about industry and skills and crafts, and about the work that people put into it. So I want the drawings to reflect that. And one of the things I've said a few times now, and I've said it recently in a seminar, is that it's something I need to consider in my practice, is that these drawings take a long time, and in a way are almost unsustainable. To a point, do you know what I mean? There's like a balance. There's a balance between how many I can actually draw in a certain amount of time without just completely wearing myself out, or going through so many pencils that I can't afford to buy pencils or food anymore, because I'm buying too many pencils. Because as you saw in the last one, used up a lot of pencils, didn't it? Because the paper was quite fibrous. Anyway, so it's that sort of consideration of sustainable practice and what it means and how it's considered in your practice. Anyway, so we're given a different sort of topic to consider and look at and learn about every week. And then the assessment for this module is that we have to create a video as a response to 2 or more of the topics covered. So I've never made what I've sort of termed an art video. I've never made an art video before, like a video that's a response to something in that way. I've got a couple of ideas about what I want to do. I won't share them just yet, but I'm kind of mulling them over, and obviously I want it to be linked to the project proposal that I submitted, and I want it to be linked to the Lake District and the industry sort of thing. One of the subjects, the module subjects, is listening. I've said, like, I've misquoted that. It's broadly about listening and sound, I think. So I think that's one of the areas I'll probably look at. And then there's a couple of others, like there's something around area and geographies and things like that too. But anyway, a lot of things to consider. I think I'm going to spend this week mapping out some plans and some thoughts about what it can be, and then mulling it over. But if you guys have got any ideas or experiences, I'd love to hear them too on this. Because like I say, I've never made an arty sort of response video. Something else a bit different that I've done this week, that I've never really particularly done before, is I'm playing with my camera, sorry, it's sat next to me. So we were asked to consider or imagine a country, a brand new country, our own country, that we could, and we had to write a manifesto for this country, and it could be a dystopia, a utopia, whatever we wanted. And you know, does it have currency? What do people do? What is the role of people in it? What do the buildings look like? Are there boundaries? Are there borders to these countries, etc.? And I'll admit it, when I first read the question, I was a bit grumpy, and I thought, I don't want to do that. That sounds stupid. But it's because I was a bit tired and I was a bit grumpy. Anyway, I mulled it over for quite a few days actually, and I was reading what some other people were sharing about it, and there was a lot of stuff around, you know, they want it to be a nice relaxing place, lack of responsibilities, you know, living outdoors, that kind of thing. And some of it got me thinking. There were some things that people said that sounded great to them, and I thought, oh no, that's not for me. And then I thought, well, a lot of people are calling these spaces utopias, and that's, to me, is not a utopia. And obviously that's not a hot take. I'm not like, I'm not cracking something wide open here, am I, by saying that not everyone's paradise is the same. But and then I just sort of thought, that's kind of like what cults are in a way, isn't it? Like, some people think it's amazing and it's the best place. I'm not suggesting these people are designing cults, not at all. What I'm saying is that some people, you know, one person's happiness is another person's worst nightmare. And for a lot of people that are in cults, that's their paradise, that's where they're happiest. They believe it's the best thing on earth. And then I started to have this idea around, well, what if my country was a cult, but I called it a commune? I'm not going to call it a cult, I'm going to call it a commune, is what I thought. And then I thought, I wonder if AI would help me design a cult or a commune. And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be really nice, because we had to do like a bit of drawing for this as well, to sort of show what the landscape might look like, any artwork that sort of sketches that would illustrate our points a bit more. And I thought, I wonder if I can get AI to design me a poster for my commune and what that would look like. And then I sort of decided on some values for this commune based on some ideas that I'm hearing around social media that at the moment that some people love, some people hate. And then anyway, I got AI to design this poster for me, and then I asked it a couple of other questions, and then I asked it to design like what the commune would look like for me. And it also started to give me some other suggestions, like, would you want a social media plan building? This is sort of the pricing structure you could give for people to stay at your commune and things like that. And I just sort of thought, do you know what, I bet I could take this quite far. And anyway, I recorded my interaction with AI, so I'll show you that now. So that's that. I kind of stopped it. I cut a little bit out in the middle where I couldn't figure out how to download one of the files, but anyway, it's not important. You didn't miss much. It was literally just me saying, where's this file? Because it wasn't showing me it. But anyway, and I just sort of thought, I got quite into it, and I've been thinking about it ever since I did it. And And I think it's just good fun, and I might just carry on doing it just to sort of see where it goes. I'm not actually going to start a commune at all, but I just sort of wanted to see how far an AI platform, how far it'll help me and what it'll help me with. And the idea is that this commune is kind of run by AI, and it's removing the burden of decision making from humans by sort of giving you a regime and a regiment and telling you what to do, also keeping you tired and a bit hungry, like most cults do. Commune. and then yeah, I don't know. I just found it. It's quite a nice thought exercise for me. Anyway, I'm having a good fun with it. You might think it's really weird, but anyway, my posters and I sort of suggested at one point, I'm sure you saw it in the video, I suggested, what if I offered a salary sacrifice scheme to help me like fund this cult? And what I found quite interesting was that the co-pilot, the AI I used, was sort of saying, oh, you've got, keep it within the law sort of thing. And what might be interesting as well is, would different AI platforms give me different answers? So I personally, Copilot, if I'm going to use AI, I'm going to use Copilot. I find it to be quite reliable, especially in sourcing stuff. Would ChatGPT give me a different response, for example? So that's something I might mess around with. But also what I am aware of as well is that AI isn't great in terms of environmental sustainability, so I don't want to use it too much. But I'm just sort of having a little bit of fun with it and playing around with this sort of thought experiment. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. It might be a bit weird, but it's a bit fun as well. Like I say, I'm not actually going to launch a commune, so don't worry about that. Well, not yet anyway. Who knows what the future will bring. Anyway, I'm going to leave it on that weird thought for now. Let me know what your new utopia, your new country would be, if you've got one at all. And yeah, the pros and cons to it, and why you'd have it the way you'd have it. Anyway, right, I'll leave it there for now, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye!